and welcome to our week in review for Module 2. What I like to do in these week in reviews is kind of look back to what we did previously in Module 1, kind of clear up any loose ends that we have there. Also look to what we're doing this week, and maybe a look ahead at some bigger projects. All right, so with that, let's take a look at some of the things that happened in Module 1. So again, I'm shooting these videos. These are kind of live shot on. This is Tuesday, so I don't know when you're going to view this, but I'm shooting this on Tuesday this week in Module 2 for all of you folks attending this summer. Okay, so in Module 1, I know some of you had some questions about, looking at my notes here, about the textbook and also about the learning activity. Let's talk about the textbook. In Module 1, I know that I had a syllabus walkthrough in there, and I reference a textbook in there that we had used 2 semesters ago. So I apologize for that. I should have warned you and let you know that, hey, don't worry about that textbook. So there's the good news. You have all the textbooks you're going to need for this course right now, as long as you have that pharmacology book that we're doing the readings from for this week, next week, in Module 3. But you do not need that law and ethics book that I refer to. So please don't worry about that. I will provide you the readings when we get to that point in PDF form. So, okay, so I guess good news there, and I do apologize for the confusion on that. The second question had to do with the fuzzy crossword puzzle. So I know that crossword, when I looked at it, it was pretty hard to read. Is it a 6? Is it a 7? It was hard to tell what number was across or down. So I tried to pencil those in and hopefully clear it up for you. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully the next crosswords that we have, the numbers are a little bit clearer for you. I am handwriting the numbers in there from the version that I'm scanning from, which is actually, that's the cleanest version that we have, that I have right now. But I think it will work for all of our next learning activities on crosswords. So that should pretty much cover some of the questions that you had in the virtual office for Module 1. Let's talk about general impressions for Module 1. I was very glad to see that the dialogue between you with the opening case scenario. That case scenario is always one when I read it that just makes my hands sweat. I mean, it just you get anxious when you read it because it's something that can happen to any one of us, or may have already happened to you. I know some of you out there have already encountered very similar situations, and the longer that you work in the profession, eventually something like that is going to happen. So it is kind of a nerve-wracking experience, but I think it emphasizes the importance of this whole drug pharmacology contrast administration piece that we have with our jobs. It is truly the most I guess important, or thing that we have to take the most care with, because it can lead to such an acute event so quickly. Obviously, we need to worry about patient dose. That's something that's not acute. I would hope not. But it is something that is, that we have to be aware of over a lifespan of an individual. This is an event that can happen, that could go down in 30 seconds. So this is why I think it makes us all very sensitive to this issue. So hopefully this will be, this unit that we're going through in pharmacology will help strengthen your knowledge of that area. Even if you're not directly involved in that, maybe you're involved with managing folks that are delivering contrast and maybe even other drugs, and starting IVs. And if you're a CT or MR tech, even some of our interventional folks, I know that you guys are starting those IVs. Again, some very important stuff that we do. So that could lead in different directions if not done correctly. So, all right. So I'll step off my soapbox there about the drug unit. It is my favorite unit, but I think it is probably the most challenging of the 3 units that you're going to face in this particular course. Remember, the course is designed kind of like basically 3 mini courses. So the first one is drugs, pharmacology. The second one is legal and ethical issues related to patient care. And the third one is advanced imaging specific patient care issues, and we're going to hone down on CT and MRI. Why CT and MRI? Well, simply because they're the most popular. There were by far more of the patient volume is going through those modalities than all the other modalities combined. So we're going to focus on those two areas in our third unit, the final modules of the course. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit of recap on one, and then I also kind of talked a little bit about a recap on what the whole course structure is going to be like. Let's talk about Module 2. What are we doing in Module 2 this week? All right, looking at the syllabus. So this week we have our learning activity. Learning activity is going to be a little different this week. Last week you had one where you had a Word document and you simply filled in the blanks on the Word document and then submitted that to the Dropbox. This week you're going to be doing basically like an online form, filling in the answers, very similar, filling in the answers. So there's going to be a dreaded crossword on there as well. You'll fill in those answers and then you'll submit the form for grading. What I recommend, the best way I think to do this is go into the learning activity. It's in the module. You click on it, you open it, you copy it. I would do a copy paste, put it into a Word document, print that out, and write in your answers as you're doing your weekly readings. I mean, you're going to come across a lot of the answers as you're doing that without really a lot of going back to the reading. So I would do that. I do have some students who open up this, I'll call it this online form, and they will do it all at once, which, I can tell that the time, I can see how long they've been doing it, and say, oh, it took them a couple hours to do it. Totally up to you. But the thing that you want to do is make sure you read the instructions on how to do this. The online form is basically a quiz. Now, don't freak out, but it's a quiz that's open for 7 days. Think of it as a huge open book, or I say a huge amount of time open book quiz. That's open, 7 days to answer these questions. The key point here is to not hit submit until you are completely done with the learning activity. You can save your answers. That's fine. You can close the window out and walk away from the computer for 3 days. That's fine. You haven't hit submit yet. Once you hit submit, it kind of closes the door on the assignment, and then I'd have to go back there and go back in and reopen it for you. Now, if that happens, just let me know. I will reopen it, but do me a favor and try not to hit the submit button until you're completely done with the assignment, and then you'll be just fine. So that's my suggestion, is that you kind of do the assignment on paper, scratch in your answers, and then come back in and key in your answers, and then hit submit, and you'll be all done with the learning activity this week. Okay, so we're going to have our learning activity. We're going to have our weekly quiz. I believe this week we have 90 minutes to do the quiz. My recommendation on that one is use the book. Absolutely. I know you have the textbook. I expect that you do use the book on it. So it is an open note, open book quiz. Now, you may not be able to look up every answer in the time allotted, but I think in 90 minutes you can address most of the questions that are in there. I just want to make sure that you've been reading the content, you kind of know where to find it, and you have that general awareness of our learning objectives, that you've met those throughout this particular module. So, and by doing that with an open book, open note quiz is perfectly fine. So use it, and you should do very well. I will say historically, students have told me that the quizzes for the pharmacology unit, these first 3 modules, are the most difficult. So don't let it worry you. Again, do your best, do the readings thoroughly, and you should be you will be just fine. And I do historically offer a chance of extra credit towards the end. Most students don't need it. So, but know that there will be an extra credit opportunity towards the end of the course if you feel that you need a few extra points. But again, Like, very few students actually do need that. Okay, so that's a little bit about the quizzes this week, and we have another question of the week this week. A little caution there, just make sure that with your question of the week, you are making your primary post, the one that you write, you're doing the word count correctly. It's meaningful content that you're putting in there, and you're putting it in there on time, and then you're replying back to 2 other students in the time frame allotted, so you don't have any point deductions on that. So far, with last week, we're looking really good on that. I don't see any problem. A couple of you got maybe some minor points off, but again, to get the full points, just make sure you follow the instructions for the question of the week when those do come up. So, all right. So that's pretty much it for Module 2. I'm going to give one quick look ahead in our last 30 seconds here, and that is the unit paper. Remember that this course has no midterm or final, but we do have these 3 little mini papers that go along with the 3 units of study that we're doing. The first one will be due at the end of Module 3, so you have this week and all of next week to get that written. My recommendation is you start on it now, so you're not stressed out in Module 3. Should give you plenty of time. Module 2 is a little bit light on the assignments. Reason for that is so you can work on that paper this week and next week, so you have a good, solid effort with your first unit paper due at the end of Module 3. Okay, so that's our look way ahead at the end of Module 3. If you have any questions or problems, please feel free to text me. Some of you are. Thank you for doing that. I actually prefer texting over any other method, even virtual office. So don't be bashful to give me a text, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible with those text messages. All right, excellent. Well, that ends the week in review for Module 2, and as always, thank you for watching.